right, guys. Hey, and welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee. I'm here today with my co-host, Clint AKIN.
Yeah.
Glad to have you guys today, and we are joined by Miss Stacy Putman from INEOS. She's the head of leadership development and special projects over there, and just has a phenomenal story. I mean, we kind of pride ourselves here in this region on the people and the channels that we cover, all the way from down to the person in the plants, to the legislative folks that are at the top, and then everything in between. And we have a person sitting in front of us that's almost done about everything you can in the industry. So we're excited to chat with you today, Stacy. Glad to have you.
Thanks. It's good to be here. I really enjoy your podcast. I have a podcast myself.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm pretty picky about them. I like y'all's a lot.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to check yours out, and we're excited to have a natural. So that was what we were talking about before the show. So just for our audience, if you could just give us kind of a background, tell us a little bit about your story.
Oh, sure. Thanks. So I'm from West Texas. One of the things I like to say when I'm talking to folks, I'm a first-generation city dweller. So I come from a farming and ranching background.
Yeah.
And so that means that I like being outdoors. I like problem solving on equipment, animals, fencing, things like that. I like to work with my hands, those kind of things. Trained as a chemical engineer, probably should have been a mechanical engineer, but that wasn't the path I got on. And so I got out of school at Texas Tech, and I went to work for myself. My husband and I started a little business. We did that for about 5-6 years back in the mid-'80s when there was a recession. We sold that, and then I got into consulting in this industry, and then I've been working for an owner-operator for a little over 20 years, making product, and just have really enjoyed the time I've been here. I like to tell people I started 40 years and 40 pounds ago in this industry.
40 years, 40 pounds ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
When you do the kind of work that you've done, it's easy to drop a few pounds.
Oh, so, yeah. That's always our goal in turnaround and outages is when we're finished, we don't eat so much food that we have to get new FRC, right? Funny story, I started before we had FRC. Mm-hmm. So I've got this picture I carry around with me where I got short sleeves on. It was the year they invented 501 jeans.
Yeah.
My job back then was to push the wheelbarrow. It's a riot, So things have changed a lot in our industry.
And you were telling us before we started recording that's how you started in the industry, was pushing a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, exactly, right on. So to help pay for school, I worked during the summers, and so I worked down at Edna over near Victoria for a company, and I started in maintenance. I was the first woman that wasn't a nurse that worked in the plant. So the instructions to the maintenance crew was don't hurt the girl. So I got to push the wheelbarrow for almost a month, right? Until they finally, trusted me enough.
You were strong and you could.
I wasn't going to tattletale, and I was going to pull my weight and stuff like that. Yeah, right on.
So walk us through a little bit about your journey, because I think you've had a pretty phenomenal journey. Started out pushing a wheelbarrow, and then kind of tell us a little bit about because I think the journey in and itself is really relative to the job that you do today. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things that I do like to share, Jason, with folks, especially people who are wanting to come into our industry, maybe from another industry, or they're coming right out of school where they've spent their high school and graduate school years, working in restaurants or different jobs like that. And how do you make that transition? And wow, I have transitioned so many times in my career. So I started out, like I said, pushing a wheelbarrow, working maintenance and making lots of money back then. I thought that was just great money. I was inspired by all that, finished my education with a degree, and went right into consulting. And in consulting, you're just problem solving for people. And I just love that problem solving. And so when I came to work in industry, I started out in safety and environmental, working for BP, and I really enjoyed that. I had responsibility for 11 different locations, so I was still traveling a lot like I'd been doing as a consultant. And then from there I went into commercial operations manager, so more sales and customers and some knowledge of how our plants work and how our products made, really made that possible. But it was at a really difficult time. We had just become a new company, BP had spun us off, we had to start up new systems. It was kind of a mess, just to put it plainly.
And a lot of uncertainty, right?
It was.
The wind blows in a lot of different directions when there's transition, because you're like, well, are we going to go this system or that system? And it's challenging.
Exactly. And sometimes you don't even know you have the problem until it pops up and your customer calls and says, why do I have an 11-page invoice? Oh, whoops, we don't want that to happen. We want easy for people to pay.
Just pay it, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So there's sort of a pattern in some of my career changes. After that, we started a Six Sigma program in our company. We wanted to continue to improve what we were doing. We wanted to improve things and solve problems in a new way. So in 2008, we started down the journey of Six Sigma. We've saved over $1 billion now since 2008 using the Lean and Six Sigma tools that we learned and now teach within our company. So
Awesome.
I became a master black belt in that. And then from there, I became the director for HSC and quality in our company. That was a kind of a rebuild there and expansion into that role, some things that had to change. And then after that, I became a plant manager out in California. That's a whole new world out there. I'd never really, lived any place but Texas. There were some definite challenges there. Our reliability had been pretty low in the low 80s. Mm-hmm. We don't run things in the low 80s. So we got that up into the high 90s pretty quick after we used some of our Six Sigma skills and tools, and plus a lot of great teamwork out there. And so what I've seen in my career, for me, what I like is hard things, scary things, difficult things. And so I usually like to try to go into a role where there's some challenges. And so when I came into this role, and this role was kind of unique, they said, hey, come on back home. You've been out in California running that plant for 5 years. Once you come home, let's give you a role that is all about a little bit of everything you've done. And so I get to use a lot of what I've done to now train leaders, new leaders, future leaders. So I've got over 300 people in our company here in the U.S. in a leadership development program.
Nice.
And I put them through formal training, enrichment, activities, book clubs, speaker series, things like that, and we get personal one-on-one. Because I really think that the only way to help someone change is you're going to have to get with them one-on-one, because that's how change happens, one person at a time, right?
Absolutely.
So I thought, well, this isn't going to be that hard. Yeah, getting people to change, that's really hard. Getting people to see the potential that they have, that's amazing. Because sometimes people get in their own way, right?
Well, we think too linearly, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think that this is the line, I'm going to follow this line, and this line's going to take me where I want to go. And sometimes you've got to look at some of the other crossroads.
Yeah.
And there's some forks, and maybe you need to take this, maybe you need to go the right or left. Maybe you don't need to stay so linear in your path. But it's really difficult when that's your background, that's what you've been challenged, and that's where you've grown. Mm-hmm. So I understand.
Yeah, because why would a chemical engineer go into sales? Why would a chemical engineer go into a variety of different things? But I don't know, maybe what you're saying here too, Clint, is sometimes you go lateral, right, to go to a new direction, or I just think there's so many options, and that's what's great about our industry too. Some people don't realize you don't even need a chemistry degree to work in the chemical industry.
Right.
There are tons of folks that work here. There's so many people, thousands of people that can contribute and have great jobs in our industry. Because I've done special projects over in finance, I've done special projects in IT and in HR. And there's just so many opportunities here. And so sometimes you're right, don't stay on that straight path and say the only thing I can do. Listen for opportunity, take those opportunities when they're offered to you. And it can open up new ideas.
Right.
So you said you like hard, challenging, and scary projects.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right
when you
on.
retire, you can become a marriage counselor.
Yeah, that's one thing we don't teach. When we talk about relationships, we're clear and upfront. These relationship skills, you may find opportunity to use them elsewhere. We want you to use them at INEOS, so that's the point. Use them here in industry, right? But
So speaking of that, I think that's a great transition to something that's near and dear to your heart, which is work-life balance.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, I think people hear industry, or they hear the term industrial, or they see things like people in work boots, and they see stuff like plants, and they hear things like shift labor and all those different terms that kind of give the industry a black eye, right? Where people think, I don't know, if I'm a kid coming out of college, is that the life that I want?
Right.
Talk to us about work-life balance and how it's critical and how it bleeds into the things that you guys are doing.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think it is, and I get asked that a lot, especially being a woman. Do you have children? Have you been married?
Do they ever see you?
Yeah, right. Do they see you? Do they know what you do? Do you wear that stuff home and get it in your house? Have you been married? Have you been able to stay married? Stuff like that. And I don't care what your job is. The answer to those questions is it's hard to do those things, no matter what job you have. It's hard to be a good mom and a good wife and all those kind of things. It takes energy and it takes effort. But what I see in our industry that's changed over the last 40 years, honestly, is the employer's interest and effort to to ensure that people have work-life balance, right? So we want people to spend all their vacation. You know, we work with people hard to help them take their vacation. There are periods of time where, and COVID has really made it hard for some of us. If you're an essential worker and there's shortages of your product, you know, makes it kind of hard to get a good work-life balance. So other than those special situations that come up, a big turnaround, things like that, but even a big turnaround, there's comp time that comes to the engineers and to the staff and folks to allow them to recharge and refresh. We allow people to carry over vacation time. We want people to use their vacation time.
Nice.
And what I consider important for our family for work-life balance is we do talk about what we work on and how important it is and the value that's there, but we also talk about, you know, what it affords us in our life. And we do want to make sure that we remember that it's important what we make, but it's just plastic. So even when I'm, you know, in a control room and we're seeing something kind of go a little bit sideways and tempers kind of start to rise and we can feel that anxiety coming on, you know, we gotta remember it's just plastic, it's just gasoline, it's just this product. We're going to get through this, right?
Yeah.
And it's not worth hurting our health. It's not worth driving up our blood pressure. Let's take a breath and let's respond instead of reacting. And that's a big piece of work-life balance, is managing your own health, right? And helping folks around you manage their health too and their stress about work. Because if you're overly stressed with work, you're probably not making good choices about how you spend your time. You may be becoming that workaholic phrase, those kind of things.
Yep.
So I think it's real important to keep perspective and remember, why are we working? Why are we making this money? Why are we spending this time here? And it's so that we can enjoy life away from here as well. Because we spend a lot of time at work. But we do that, hopefully, so that we can enjoy time away from work by supporting our family and the charities that we love, the church, the Boy Scouts, whatever, and making sure that you've got that mix in your life. Because what we have found is people that do take breaks, when they come back, they're sharper, they're brighter. Right.
They're refreshed. Yeah.
So exactly.
With a renewed perspective.
Yeah.
And that really does make a huge difference.
Yeah, it does.
With that kind of wisdom, we could like just end the show right now because you just dropped some
Bye.
gold. Yeah, like that was. I mean, more than anything, I think at the end of the day, that was what people need to hear: is that hey, it's just plastic, or it's just money, or it's just this, but it's not the end of the world, right?
Right. And not to diminish what we do in our product.
Yeah, by all means, right?
But come on. You know, let's don't get too stressed about this. Let's keep perspective. Let's keep perspective.
I think you'd be fun to work with. That's what I'm just gonna say.
I try to be,
Yeah.
and I try to have fun at work.
So let's talk about we talked a little bit about your role, some of the things that you're doing, your career. It's been great. Now let's talk a little bit about INEOS. What they're doing, some of the focus, maybe the topics that we want to discuss when it comes to them. I think recycling is a big part of that. Why don't you share a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, definitely. I'm working on a talk. I don't have it yet. So when I get it landed, I'm going to come back, okay?
Please.
And I think the title of it is We Don't Have Enough Plastic.
Okay.
Because here's the situation. I have personally done this. We spend a lot of time and a lot of sweat, and we do lose a little bit of sleep sometimes when we're making plastic. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of labor, there's a lot of materials that go into making plastic. And when I see it on the ground, when I see it, you know, on the side of the road, or I see it just a pile of it in the trash, it breaks my heart, because I know people and I personally have worked on making that stuff.
Right.
And so, just like a lot of things, you know, plastic was invented to solve a problem, and it's still here today solving problems. I think the language is changing a little bit to be, the problem's not plastic, the problem is plastic waste. So all that plastic, we can pull it back in and make new plastic out of it. So just recently over in Savannah, Georgia, and I don't know why they picked Savannah, Georgia, but Savannah, Georgia, McDonald's stores all released these new cold drink cups. And they're made with advanced recycled plastic that we provided. So and LyondellBasell made the bio-recycled material that went into those cups. So two sister companies here in this industry came together and provided the recycled content for those cups. And we'd love to have those cups back, because you can take one of those cold drink cups, you can recycle it 160 times and make cold drink cups out of it over.
160 times, same cup.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
It is. It really is. The problem is getting that waste plastic to us. Here in the United States, we don't have strong recycling infrastructure. We have people who want to recycle, and they watch out their front window and they see when those two different trash bins get picked up, get mixed together sometimes. I mean, it's just a shame. We just don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the culture, but that's going to change. We're going to work hard. INEOS is a big part of that. So our other member companies here in this industry, working hard to make this happen. And part of the reason is we believe in a circular economy where you eliminate waste. And how do you eliminate waste? You make waste valuable.
Right.
Right? So you put some value on that waste, and then people will be glad to give it back to you. We will be glad to receive that waste. Right now, I don't want you throwing trash in my yard.
Yeah.
I live in Galveston. I don't want trash over that little picket fence. But if it was polypropylene, if it was those McDonald's drink cups, I might like that.
Yeah.
Because I know what to do with that right now. 2-3 months ago, I might not have been so sure about it. Right?
Nice.
I've actually had the privilege of sitting down with Hector Rivero from TCC and AC. So I know they're Texas Chemical Council, ACIT. They're working on helping INEOS and companies alike to put in huge recycling efforts into the state. I mean, they're lobbying at the state legislature level, and they've gone all the way up to the White House to lobby to help people understand why we need to recycle those plastics better.
Right.
Because we're not going to be able to keep up with demand on the plastic market.
No, we can't.
There's just not enough plants. There's not enough product.
Right.
We're not going to be able to keep up with demand. And
Right.
I think one of the other disconnects with plastic is, people they see the waste, but they don't understand all the good things that the plastic's doing. I talk with people in the medical community, and they don't get it. And I'm like, everything you open up that's been hermetically sealed is usually hermetically sealed in plastic.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that they don't even understand on that level. They don't see it going into that plastic product, but it is, and those stuff that's recyclable too. So.
Right. And I think education is going to be key, and I think that's what I'm hearing you say, Clint. Is we've got to educate people. We have to show people. We have to understand. It's interesting. When I was in California, people would ask me what I did for a living. Well, that's a dicey question when you run a chemical plant, right? But the truth of what I do for a living in California and here is I take a waste stream, which is propylene. It's a byproduct. It's a waste. It used to be called a waste. But now it's considered a byproduct because we take that stream and we make something usable out of it. In California, in 1999, you could flare that stuff. And they were flaring it. So we built a plant next to a refinery, and we took that waste stream that they were flaring, and we now make polypropylene out of it. And what is that used for? It's used in medical equipment. It's used in those lovely McDonald's cups. It's used in a lot of ways that make people's lives better, more convenient. It lightweights the cars so that we get better fuel economy and things like that. And so that's what we do with it. And so that's an example of how do you use waste. Well, that was waste.
Well, I think unfortunately we've taken agendas and labeled them with certain things, and then we take those agendas and then try to push certain things. And it's not or, it's both when it comes to these types of things. Meaning you can't have all this stuff, and most of what I've observed with companies like yours and a lot of the refineries and things across this area, very, very focused on, like you described, the circular economy and create ways for us to strengthen our overall global footprint and improve the fact that we're actually doing a better job of sustainability.
Right.
Like we're probably put more energy into that than anybody else. Yet there's always that the events like the guys jumping off the bridge in plastic. Things and parachutes or whatever you're telling them, nice thing, but the plastic's how you got down to the bottom, right? So it's just it's counterintuitive. Whereas I think what you're sharing around education and getting out there and making it known is it's every day. It's everyday life that people are living. That they say, okay, everything I use from the water bottles to the car that I drive has a huge impact based on the work that we do.
Right. And we're fully supportive of products like electric vehicles because they're 50% made of plastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's a hydrocarbon-based vehicle still, right? And Jason, you're touching on other points of a circular economy where you keep a product in use, you keep the products and material in use because they have value, and you also work to restore nature to its original state, right? So because we cannot run our company without land or people. And that's why we make big donations and protect salmon fisheries. We work really hard in certain parts of Africa to protect the environment. And then here locally at our plants, we work really hard. We have so many acres of wetlands and other protected land that we protect, and then we have some archaeologically protected land near one of our plants, and we do our best to keep the cows off of it. And people want to come and graze and or put it into cultivation, and we're like, no, we're not going to do that. We got to keep that safe, right? And because that's important to us. That's super important to our company. We're a privately owned company, and our owner is an environmentalist.
And where are they at?
They're based out of London. We also have a small headquarters in Switzerland. We have over 130 facilities around the world, about 25,000 people in INEOS. And we're about to launch an automotive company. Get ready for the INEOS Grenadier coming to the United States. Yeah. I'm hoping, they say you can hose it out. And I live in Galveston, so I'm hoping I get one, because Galveston,
you can hose the car out.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That'd be great.
Yeah. You hear that, rednecks? We have a hose. It's coming.
Think about all the moms that just heard that too.
Oh yeah.
Goes out the car, and I don't have to worry about using a vacuum to get the juice box and the Cheerios off the floor. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. my wife laughs about that, because that's me. I work out in my car, so she's probably like, he needs a hosable car.
Yeah, he does drink a lot of juice boxes.
Yeah, it's constant.
Yeah. I'll put you on the mailing list.
So a couple things, I think, as we get ready to wrap up. Two things. The first one, we've mentioned circular economy several times. I think you're working on really enhancing your career on top of everything you've already done. You're now pursuing an education in that.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So when I got this job, this role here at INEOS, managing strategic projects, some of those are directly related to circular economy, advanced recycling, and so I said, well, hey, I've got to learn more about that. And so the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they put their seal of approval on a couple of schools in the world, and so one of them that is offering a circular economy master's graduate degree, I'm attending, it's over University of Bradford in England, and so I'm back in school, learning how to do academic writing, because we didn't do any of that in chemical engineering school, and it's so amazing to me to see the educational platforms that are available and how the materials are curated nowadays, especially for an adult learner coming back into a graduate program. I'd been taking some courses while I was out in California, but they were in a different part of interest in my life, and so this has been really great to contact and learn from some of the world leaders in circular economy and have access to information, and I really enjoy that a lot.
That's awesome. And then earlier you had mentioned taking care of your wellness and that being an important aspect of work-life balance. Talk to us about y'all's commitment to wellness for the children, for school education.
Yeah, so this,
on top of everything INEOS is doing, they actually have a little footprint here as well.
Because they're not doing enough. They need to do more.
Sure. That's exactly right. Well, and again, this goes back to our owner and being a privately owned company, choices that we can have to be real specific to what we're interested in.
Right.
So Mr. Ratcliffe is a runner. And you may have read a couple years ago when we sponsored Eliud Kipchoge, who broke the marathon record and ran a marathon less than 2 hours.
That's amazing.
Literally less than 2 hours. Jeez. Amazing. And
that's flying. Yeah,
that's flying. It was amazing. And plastic had a lot to do with that too.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so we're interested in the wellness and health of children, teachers, and the influencers in their lives, which are counselors, administrators, and of course families. And so we have a program called the Daily Mile. And we bring this program at no cost to schools. And because the PE has been reduced a lot, and like we said earlier, being able to take a break sometimes from work, being able to take a break from reading and writing, get outside, get some fresh air, roll in your wheelchair, run, walk, whatever you're physically capable of doing, get a little sunshine, or look at the rainy day from the gym windows, or whatever you can do. What we've seen is some great benefits from that. It's backed by research, and so we go to the schools. Sometimes we bring Olympic athletes or other professional athletes to these schools at no charge, and we help them put programs in place where they can work that into their day, because teachers have a lot to do. They got a lot to accomplish in a day with those children, but we're seeing that there's a big benefit to the teachers as well, to getting that break. Yeah. So we're really excited. They've been recognized, the Daily Mile team, nationally, and so they're going to be sponsors of this World Athletic program in Oregon this year, and we're just thrilled about that, and you'll hopefully be seeing more and more about that. But they're in elementary schools all around this area, all over Galveston, loads of different places in the United States.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're nearing the end of the show. As we get ready to wrap up, is there anything else that we didn't capture today that you want to make sure we do?
I do want to get the date on when you guys might be willing to be on my podcast.
Oh, well, that's easy.
All right.
Yeah, of course.
That's awesome.
Done.
Yeah.
Podcast.
I don't really do anything, so I just I do a couple podcasts, and then I'm kind of hanging out.
Do you,
Yeah.
do you have a questionnaire? Because I'll fill it out right now.
We'd love to go.
Yeah. Same 4 questions. All our folks. Yeah, podcasters talking to podcasters. That's great.
That'd be awesome. Anything
Super.
else?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I appreciate what y'all do and the diversity of who y'all bring on and things like that. And I do share these podcasts with the folks that are in my leadership development
That's awesome.
training.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Well,
it.
I know Jason and I both have daughters too. We appreciate what you've done to help establish a better workplace for women in the industry as well. So that's amazing. So thank you for being a good servant leader in that.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a pleasure.
So with that, folks, we appreciate it. We appreciate Stacy joining us, and as always, make sure you communicate and tell the story. We have a phenomenal story to tell in our region. It's called the Gulf Coast Growth Show for a reason, because we're a growing industry, a growing environment, and a place where we want people to know this is the place to be, and you got to get out here. We need all of the dollars that we can to continue to expand, to continue to build, to continue to create jobs. We also need to go out there and continue to tell the story. Because stories like Stacy's and a lot of our guests are really what makes up this region. So as always, you can log into the allianceportregion.com to subscribe to our channels. You can Spotify, what are the other ones? YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. And then you can always reach Clint and myself if you have any guests or people that you want to communicate and maybe have come on the show. Message us on LinkedIn. We'll take them through a quick interview, see if they're a great fit, and then we'll have them out. So see you guys next week.